We're back live here for over number 4 and a remarkable catch there. Sandeep Lamichhane, guess what? Gets Mutumbotsi or not. Fantastic, and Nepal are back in this game. How about that for a catch? Certainly the catch of the day so far.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Poor shot from Tino Mtombodzi. There was a man back at long off anyway. Not the shot you want to play when you haven't got any runs on the board. He goes for naught, 27 for 2, Zimbabwe.
No surprises that Sandeep Lamichhane is already into the thick of things. 2 wickets in just 7 deliveries, and he's brought Nepal right back in this.
It's a good call from the captain, Paras Khadka, straight away going to his best bowler. And the best bowler has answered the call. 2 really important wickets in his first couple of overs. Still 4 balls to go in this one. Wonderfully bowled. Drawing the batsman forward again and just getting enough turn past that outside edge.
It was a confident looking Brian Chari for the first 15 deliveries, but suddenly it looks like he's under pressure, and that is the beauty of taking wickets, and that's what it can do to you. Suddenly Sandeep Lamichhane has a spring in his stride. They got to be patient here, the Zimbabweans. They have to see this passage of play through. They need to see Sandeep through. What a catch, and that was from Ishan Pandey, the debutant. Excellent catch there. It was Mutumbotsi reaching out for that one.
Good cricket. Well played by Brian Chari. You were just talking about his approach and how he was free-flowing earlier on in the innings. Now he's lost a couple of wickets at the other end, and he's got to take a rain check. He can't continue to play with the freedom that he was playing with earlier because they've lost those couple of wickets. He's joined at the crease now by the captain, Sean Williams. Played a hand in Zimbabwe's final game in Bangladesh to get across the line versus Afghanistan. Other than that, struggled throughout the series. We'll be looking to have a good start to this one. It's gone straight up in the air, and Sandeep Lamichhane has got another. It's the captain, Sean Williams, who goes, and at the moment the Zimbabwean innings in tatters. The captain, Sean Williams, just faces 1 ball. He's gone for naught. And Zimbabwe now reduced to 28 for 3. The beauty of T20 cricket. The score was 19 after the first 2 overs, eh?
From 19 for no loss at the end of the first 2 overs, Zimbabwe are now 28 for 3. Courtesy that man once again, Sandeep Lamichhane. Nepal's biggest cricket sensation. Boy, is he spinning a web on this Zimbabwean batting lineup. He's all over them at the moment. 7 for 3, and he hasn't even completed his 2nd over. Suddenly this target of 133 looking a lot more difficult than we thought it would be. Down the leg side once again. No, you don't want to be erratic here. It's very difficult for the wicketkeeper. And it's the third boundary that's gone off Sandeep's bowling. So basically, those 12 runs that he's conceded have all come by virtue of byes because of the wicket-keeper.
That'll be disappointing. Don't need that at this stage. And it's gone through the keeper again. Now, Lamichane is not going to be happy here. And I'm just wondering if the keeper is actually struggling to read Lamichane. End of the fourth over, 37 for 3.
Well, we're back live for over number 5, but that doesn't make for a pretty reading there for a Zimbabwean fan watching this. Sandeep Lamichane is all over the Zimbabwean team at the moment. Barring Brian Chari, none of the other batsmen have managed to get off the mark. They're finding it absolutely impossible to play Sandeep Lamichane at the moment. It's going to be Kushal Malla to continue from the pavilion end. Much better, more confident looking strike there. A direct hit. It has to be out. The umpire, yes, he raises his finger. And that's wicket number 4 for Nepal. Remarkable passage of play for Nepal here. And the only batsmen who look like getting some sort of runs will have to walk back to the pavilion. Have a look at that. They've been outstanding on the field. Directed, straight forward for the umpire. Took no time in raising his finger. Tino, what in the world is happening here?
Absolutely brilliant. From Nepal, 19 after the first couple of overs. And they look like they had their backs against the wall at the moment, clawing back into this game. Brilliant piece of fielding for the direct hit to get rid of Brian Chari, who was looking dangerous. He went for 19 from just 18 balls. Zimbabwe now 37 for 4.
Well, one thing's for sure, we certainly will have plenty of Nepali fans watching live coverage of this game. They follow their team very closely no matter where they play in the world. And this has been the story all along. Very often their batsmen let them down, but it's their bowlers and their fielders that fight back ever so often. And this has been an outstanding display of bowling and fielding by Nepal so far. It was a nothing shot from the captain, Sean Williams. He had a very ordinary tour to Bangladesh.
And got out in a very similar fashion in the first game there as well.
Talk us through this batting lineup. Do they have a decent middle order, does the Zimbabwean batting lineup, Tino?
They do indeed. A man who's on strike now, Timson Maruma, despite having a really good technique, has been in the runs. Had some good runs in the warm-up game in Bangladesh, but one who takes his time, plays good quality cricket strokes. Ryan Burl talked about good tour that he had in Bangladesh.
It's going to be
Neville
very
Madziva, handy with the bat. Wellington Masakadze as well can contribute with the willow. But at the moment, Zimbabwe will feel that these two are going to have to score the majority of these remaining runs.
What's also going to be very interesting to see next over if Paras Katka would continue with Sandeep Lamichane. He's already done with 2 overs. Tino, what would you do if you were Paras?
It's important to still have that striking element later on in the innings. And I think he's come on, he's taken early wickets, he's done his job. You wouldn't want to out-bowl him now and not have somebody to strike for you at the end if you need wickets. 5 overs gone, 38 for 4.
right, Tino, you said you were probably going to take the defensive approach, but guess what? Paras Katka throws the ball to Sandeep Lamichhane once again for over number 3. Have a look at those figures. 3 for 12. And not one of those 12 runs have come off the bat. And so he's almost been unplayable this evening as Sandeep Lamichhane. All eyes were going to be on him. He was the star attraction. And boy, has he lived up to his name or what. He's brought Nepal right back in this game.
Paras Katka obviously going for the kill. Timson Maruma playing the reverse sweep on that last occasion, and I'm pretty sure the conversation with Ryan Burl will be, let's try and play this guy straight, see him out. And then we know we don't have such a prolific spinner to have to deal with throughout the rest of the innings. You don't want to be getting out to him playing a reverse sweep.
And we saw that in the previous over with Kushal Malla bowling from the pavilion end. They seem to be a lot more comfortable playing him. It obviously didn't do as much off the pitch as it is doing for Sandeep Lamichhane, and that's why he poses such a threat.
Plays the conventional sweep this time. Good work. Saving a couple of runs there. Abhinash Buhara.
We haven't seen Bora with the ball. Like I mentioned, Slinger Malinga is who he's going to remind you of. Loves bowling those Yorkers, slingy action, but with spinners getting so much of purchase and assistance, probably won't see too much of Karan Casey, Avinash Bora and Sompal Kami.
Definitely favouring the slower bowlers, the surface. And that is something that we did mention before the game started, that just looks like a surface that will provide some grip and some good turn for the spinners. And it's done exactly that. Looking to cut that away, Ryan Burl. The googly to finish the 6th over. End of the power play, Zimbabwe 39 for 4.
We're right back live here with pictures from the Indian Association here in Singapore. You're watching game number 1 of the Singapore Tri-Nations T20I series, brought to you by Instarem. Match number 1 featuring Zimbabwe and Nepal. For those of you just tuning in, quick recap. Zimbabwe bowled first. Paras Katka won the toss, opted to bat first. They managed 132. Chasing 133, it's been all Sandeep Lamichhane in the second innings. 3 wickets in his first 3 overs, and Zimbabwe are in a spot of bother. 39 for 4 at the end of the power play. And Zimbabwe have 97 to get in the 14 overs that they have remaining. And there's a change in the bowling as well. It's going to be Karan Casey from the pavilion end.
Good running by the Zimbabweans. And this is going to be, as you were talking about, Navneet, a rebuilding phase. Both batsmen at the crease, very capable, but will not be able to play with the freedom that they would have liked or normally do because of the situation that the team is in. 40 for 4 after an explosive start from Brian Chari, eventually perished for 19. It'll just be a period where Zimbabwean batsmen at the crease at the moment, Ryan Burl, Timson Maruma, must have to bide their time, get a partnership going.
And what's important for them to note is that it's okay to have a few quiet overs. The run rate isn't of any concern at the moment. It's around a run a ball at the moment, and you obviously know that you can fancy yourself in the latter half of the innings. to go for the big ones. So they want to rotate. They want to see some of these spinners through at the moment. Slower one from Karan Casey. Was dying on the batsman there. Did well to keep it off the stumps. Just the single for Maruma and for Ryan Burl, and he brings Maruma back on strike.
I think you'll find on this surface in particular that when the seamers are on, the ball's coming onto the bat, it's a lot easier to bat. Saw the left arm spinner come on, didn't get the purchase that Lamichhane is getting. So it is a case of, listen guys, yes, the spinners are hitting the ball to talk. Lamichhane has only got 1 over left. And whether he's going to bowl that just now remains to be seen. But if he does, let's play him out. Yes, they do have other spinners, but they're not going to be the same threat that Lamichhane has been. Lots of cricket under Timson Maruma's belt. Ryan Burl, lesser experienced at this level, but enough first-class cricket to understand that.
The Singapore cricket team will certainly be watching this game very closely, and possibly a few things that they already will take back. And the big takeaway certainly is the fact that there's plenty of purchase and assistance for the spinners, and that is something that we will probably see a lot more of going into this tournament. There still is plenty of bounce for the medium pacers, but pretty much little to no lateral movement at all off the pitch, so making it a lot easier for the batsman, Tino. 7 overs completed, Zimbabwe 42 for 4. So it does look like Paras Katka is going to save the final over of Sandeep Lamichhane for later in the innings. It's going to be the vice captain to bowl some off spin. Dipendra Singh Airi comes on. Very good contribution with the bat earlier on today. And he's a very handy bowler as well. Always in the thick of things, Dipendra Singh Airi. Maruma happy to start off with a single.
It won't be easy for Zimbabwe to go on from this to get across the line. It will be a good test of the remaining batsman's character. We talked about the two at the crease right now, Maruma and Ryan Burl. Richmond Mutumbami next in. I wouldn't say accomplished in terms of his place in the side, just coming back into the team after a good domestic season. Got an important half century in Bangladesh in the 3rd T20 international. You'll feel that he will have to carry a lot of this load as well, and the runs remaining to get for Zimbabwe to get across the line.
It's been a quiet passage of play thus far in the last 3 overs. But there was excellent cover drive there, goes past the short cover fielder and to the longer side of the ground, and a comfortable 2 for Ryan Burl. And this is exactly the order of play right now. This is what Zimbabwe need. They would want to just rotate strike, keep the scoreboard ticking. Just when I say that, Ryan Burl decides to be a little adventurous, Tino.
It's not a shot I've seen him play a lot. Obviously has the confidence, believes that he can play it well enough. Again, Ryan Bull, this time in between the keeper and Paras Kadka, that first slip and goes to the boundary for 4.
We've seen 5 boundaries go past the keeper. That's 20 out of the 49 runs for Zimbabwe. They obviously aren't going to be complaining.
Better from Ryan Bull. End of the 8th over, 50 for 4. Curran Casey to continue from the pavilion end. Tucked away by Ryan Burl. Looks like that was another slower ball. And looks like he's using a fair amount of these slower balls. Nav, taking pace off the ball, making it difficult for the batsman to get momentum into the shot.
Well, he's probably realized that the slower you bowl, the more purchase you get from this wicket. And we saw the assistance that the spinners got, and Curran Casey is trying to replicate the same, mixing it up. Short on this occasion. Maruma couldn't do much, climbing on the batsman. 51 for 4. We're into the 9th over. It's probably advantage Nepal at the moment, but difficult to pick a winner, difficult to pick one team, you have to say. Anybody's game from here on.
Tucked away fine by Timson Maruma. Just be the single. Really like the character of the Nepal side. Didn't get the runs that they felt they should have got. Didn't have a good start to the batting innings. Finished it off well. Gave themselves a fighting chance, but they needed to start the bowling innings extremely well as well. Went for a few runs in the first couple of overs. And Lamichani coming in, getting wickets for his captain at a crucial stage, pegging Zimbabwe back. Looking for the quick single. Decides against it. Timson Maruma.
On a slightly different note, credit to the Singapore Cricket Association for making this happen, to bringing all the 3 teams here. Despite the busy schedules of each of these teams making this happen over the course of a week, credit to the Singapore Cricket Association in conducting this tournament. And while I say that, an excellent cover drive from Ryan Burl finds the gap on the offside, and a much needed boundary for Zimbabwe. Excellent shot there.
Nicely played by Ryan Burl. Just given a little bit of width. Mid-off is up in the circle. And that just gives you an indication of how short those straighter boundaries are. As soon as it went past that man at mid-off, in the circle, running away pretty quickly to the boundary. Good cricket from Ryan Burl. A single to end the 9th over, 57 for 4.
Right, almost at the halfway mark. 57 for 4 Zimbabwe, chasing 133. And it's going to be the captain bringing himself on from the far end, and he also has a slip in the form of Arif Sheikh as well. Some off spin from Paras Katka. Short ball to start off, and easy pickings for Ryan Burl. Tucks it off in the leg side for a single. And this is exactly what the Nepali players do. There are so many of them in this playing 11 that can turn their arm around and bowl some spin. And so useful, especially in these conditions.
I was actually just about to ask. You're obviously a lot more accustomed to the Nepalese players. I was just going to wonder and ask how often he bowls. Is he one that bowls very often in this format in particular? I've seen him turn his arm over in one-day cricket. Firmly struck by Timson Maruma. That's a good shot. Risk-free, and I say that because he's bowling around the wicket. Ball turning into him. Very nicely struck by Timson Maruma. The long levers clears that long on boundary comfortably.
This partnership has been exactly what Zimbabwe needed. Cheeky from Maruma there. You don't want to try anything fancy at the moment. This partnership has been excellent. He obviously is pretty tall, and so he's using the long handle to good effect. Barring Sandeep Lamichhane, Tino, none of the others have been threatening of the Nepali bowlers. So something for probably Singapore and Zimbabwe to keep in mind going into the tournament for the upcoming games.
Absolutely. And that's what I was saying is, they would have said to themselves, listen guys, Lamichhane is a threat, yes. He's got early wickets, yes. But he can only bowl 4 overs. Make sure we play him out, and we've still got 16 other overs to play with people who are not so threatening. But talking about threatening, straight through the gate. Paras Katka, Timson Maruma looking to play the forward defensive. And this has just gone in between bat and pad and onto the middle stump. That's really well bowled, little bit of turn. And the captain has played a hand here. So Timson Maruma is the man to go. 10 overs gone, 64 for 5.
Right back here, live action into the final 10 overs of match number 1. You're watching game number 1 of the Singapore Tri-Nations T20I, brought to you by Instagram. And we certainly do have a game on our hands. It's been that sort of seesawing evening. Come back to you on that. Sompal Kami bowling to Ryan Burl. It was Zimbabwe with the advantage with the ball earlier on. Nepal fought back a little bit towards the fag end of that first innings. Then it was Zimbabwe who started off well. Sandeep Lamichhane came back hard. Then a good partnership. So it's been that kind of an evening, Tino.
That's the exciting thing about T20 cricket, isn't it? It can be one partnership or a couple of overs that can change the game. Still in the balance at the moment. 64 for 5 Zimbabwe. Quick single on Ryan Bull. Good running. Another direct hit from Nepal. So they've been good in the field. Direct hit to get rid of Brian Chari, who had raced pretty quickly onto 19 early in the innings. And it's those kind of runouts that change games. Put Zimbabwe on the back foot.
We saw an absolute screamer from the debutant Ishan Pandey to get one of the 5 wickets. They've been on the mark on the field as well, a couple of direct hits, one of them resulting in a wicket. So it hasn't been easy going for the Zimbabweans. They've been made to work very hard for every single run. Ryan Burl coming here directly from Bangladesh. He was amongst the runs. He certainly has been in form. And Richmond Mutumbami as well. So both of them, they've been amongst the runs, and much will depend on how these two go to decide the fortunes of this game for Zimbabwe.
Absolutely. Richmond Mutumbami, one who likes to play his shots. So definitely won't shy away when the ball's in an area he feels he can score. Like that. Crisply played through the offside field by Richmond Mutumbami. Good fielding. Come back for 2. And he'll like this kind of a wicket, in particular when the seamers are bowling. Likes to play that shot in particular, the cover drive. He likes the ball coming onto him.
Obviously.
Doesn't move his feet very much. So the quicker the ball comes onto him, the better it is for a kind of guy who plays with his technique. Plays the spinners quite well as well. Enjoys the sweep shot. Good cricket all round. Richmond Mutumbami coming down the wicket. Bowler seeing that, dinging it in a little bit shorter. Richmond Mutumbami then opening the face, changing a shot, getting one into the offside.
You spent a couple of weeks in Bangladesh yourself, Tino. You made your way here to Singapore directly from Bangladesh. So the heat isn't sparing you. You can't escape from the heat, can you?
Everywhere I'm going, and it's not just the heat. Back home in Zimbabwe is pretty warm itself. And it's the humidity that's very different to our conditions back home. End of the 11th over, 69 for 5.
Right, 64 required from 54 now for Zimbabwe to make this happen. It's going to be Paras Katka to continue with the second over from the far end. Driven firmly down the ground by Ryan Burl. He's been patient for his 17 thus far. Richmond Mutumbami will need to give him company. And if these two can stay right up till the very end, Zimbabwe will certainly consider themselves with a fair chance of winning this game.
Richmond Mutumbami is one who likes to play a stroke. Possibly in this situation will take his time. He accelerates extremely well.
Pretty much your first time here in Singapore, Tino. How have you been liking it so far? You've spent a couple of days here.
Well, by qualifying for the World T20 qualifiers. And I'll be in Dubai next month. And what better preparation than being able to host a full member in Zimbabwe, one of the top T20 international teams. Nepal ranked 11 at the moment. Just ensuring they give themselves some really good game time before they go to those qualifiers next month.
And also it's a great opportunity for the people here in Singapore to come by and watch some international cricket, because they don't obviously get that too often.
Absolutely. 12 overs gone, 72 for 5. Okay, let's do that later.
It's going to be Sompal Kami to continue with his third over. 18 so far. Unnecessary, very unnecessary from Nepal there. Paras Katka is not going to be too happy, and very rightly so. You don't want to be gifting runs at the moment. Every single run counts. And with just 61 required, it's all to play for.
Yeah, they've been good in the field. We talked about that wonderful catch to dismiss Tinom Tombodi, the direct hit to get rid of a dangerous looking Brian Chari. Direct hit from the captain a bit earlier on, though Ryan Bill had made his ground. Richmond Mutumbami flexes his muscles and finds the gap wide of the man at long on. Length delivery. And quite comfortably putting that away for 4.
Well, once it races past the 30-yard circle, there's not much the fielder can do, because it's a very quick outfield here at the Indian Association. And not the friendliest of outfields, so you want to be careful before you dive here, because it is very hard.
Yeah, it would have been softened up slightly with the rain that we had a couple of days ago. But still very, very quick, the outfield. Firmly struck. Again from Richmond Mutumbami, and he's not happy with his willow. Just gesturing to the change room that he would like a bat change.
He absolutely middled that, because that came down to long on at the rate of knots. Paras Katka had no time to stop that. And it's the shorter straight boundary. Mind you, both teams haven't necessarily played too much down the ground, because the bowlers have bowled short as well. Zimbabwe have been obviously a lot more sensible in the last 7 or 8 overs. They've lost just the 1 wicket. They've put on about 20 to 50 runs in the process, exactly the need of the hour. They now need 55 now in a little over 7 overs. Shot ball. He'll consider himself very lucky there, Ryan Ball. In fact, the umpire signals leg by, no bat involved.
I'll tell you what, that's a cheeky little delivery, that. Lots of venom in it. The other thing is, I think Ryan Ball wasn't expecting that short ball. We haven't really seen that from the Nepal seamers. Short delivery. That one's certainly surprising Ryan Ball. Down to third man from Richmond Mutumbami. That'll bring us to the end of the 13th over. 80 for 5.
Right, we're back live here at the Indian Association in Singapore. 53 required for Zimbabwe in 42 deliveries that they have. And guess what? Paras Katka had to make this change at some point. He brings on Sandeep Lamichhane from the far end. Exceptional figures for the Nepal spinning sensation. 13 for 3 in the 3 overs that he's bowled so far. Into his final over. One job. So much of spin. It suddenly feels like Sandeep's bowling on a completely different pitch, Tino.
Absolutely. He is world class, isn't he? And it'll be important for these Zimbabwean batsmen to realize that this is his last over. 3 for 13 at the moment. If he manages to get a wicket here, one of these two, then it's backs against the wall for Zimbabwe. It's important that they play him out. Richmond Mutumbami obviously of a different school of thought.
Well, you've seen enough of Sandeep Lamichhane, haven't you? You've seen him in the Caribbean Premier League, in the Indian Premier League, the Big Bash, the Everest Premier League. He's been playing T20 leagues all over the world, but batsmen just don't seem to figure him out. And due respect to Sandeep Lamichhane, he's got plenty of variations up his sleeve. He obviously has the wrong one, the conventional leg spinner, and variations in pace as well, so makes it very difficult for the batsman to figure out what's coming next. And that's been their undoing. We saw what he did to Sean Williams. Very first delivery, slower in the air, and a nothing shot from the captain. Looped one straight back to Sandeep. Very interesting here from Ryan Burl. They got to hang in there. There's 2 deliveries left from Sandeep Lamichhane. They don't want to concede a wicket. An interesting passage of play, an important passage of play, more so for Zimbabwe now. They know they can go big and take on some of the other bowlers. See Sandeep through. That is what the coach and the captain will be telling them from the sidelines.
Change in the field. Man who was at point comes into 45 on the leg side. Ooh, big turn. Big turn from Sandeep Lamichhane and bounce.
Well, I'm going to say this again. It almost feels like Sandeep Lamichhane is bowling on a completely different pitch from the rest of the bowlers. And that just goes to show why he is so much in demand. Why he is one of the big T20 talents of our times at the moment. What a sensation he is. And finally come to the end of a remarkable spell of leg spin bowling from Sandeep Lamichhane. A very interesting scorecard this. Not, and not from 3 of their big batsmen, Chakabwa, Mutumbotsi and the captain Sean Williams. So much needed rearguard action from Maruma, Ryan Burl and Mutumbami, giving the Zimbabweans a chance in this game. 51 still required from 36. The required run rate is obviously creeping up every single delivery. Very difficult to pick a winner, Tino.
Very difficult indeed. You'll probably find that at the end of this over, when Zimbabwe have 5 overs to go, they will possibly maybe start to try and get a move on with things. Ryan Burl very strong towards the leg side. It'll be called wide. New bowler Dipendra Singh Irie, vice captain of the Nepal side. You've seen much of him with the ball?
It's a very handy bowler is Dipendra Singh Ivy. You probably consider him as a batting all-rounder. And just coming back to some of their bowlers, having watched them very closely in the Everest Premier League late last year, Tino, the bowlers are used to defending totals somewhere in the range of 110 to 140, because even in conditions in Nepal, in the one stadium that we did play at, it wasn't a high-scoring venue. So most of the time, bowlers were defending anywhere in the range of 110 to 140. So they know what it takes to defend such totals, and which is why these Nepal bowlers always give themselves a chance to win any game, no matter which position they're in. And at the moment, Nepal will consider themselves with the advantage, because this required run rate is very quickly climbing up. Big shot, big shot. Has that gone the distance? Yes, it has. A much needed boundary for Zimbabwe, and Richmond Mutimbami suddenly pulls things back for Zimbabwe. Plays through the line, didn't do much off the pitch. 6 handsome runs.
Smart cricket from Richmond Mutimbami, taking advantage of those short, straight boundaries. And especially with the man not turning the ball much, but if it does into him, it's definitely a shot that he'll consider. He plays it well.
And
Again.
another one! 6 more!
Bang!
Strike down. Well, it almost came down to us at the commentary box. 12 in 2, and Zimbabwe are right back in this. Dipendra Singh Ivy, very different tactics to what Sandeep Lamichhane did. Lamichhane was happy to give it some air, give it some revs. Dipendra Singh Ivy is darting it in, and Mutimbami is not complaining.
Not at all. Good shot from Richmond Mutimbami.
It's the shorter straight boundaries once again that Mutimbami is using to his advantage. Boy, oh boy, do we have a game on our hands. 2 bounces to the captain at long on once again. The equation suddenly looks a lot more different now. 36 required of 30, and it is game on. When you look through the numbers, Tino, if you keep Lamichhane's spell out of consideration, Zimbabwe has scored 82 for the loss of just 1 wicket, or rather 2 wickets, in 11 overs. So they've obviously targeted the other bowlers, but what they probably should have done better in hindsight was play out Lamichhane a lot more sensibly from the get-go.
Absolutely. You're spot on, Nav. Maybe that inexperience as we talk about the batting lineup. A lot of youngsters coming through for Zimbabwe. But the most important thing will be, have they learned that lesson the next time that they take him on?
And it's going to... Well, Zimbabwe obviously have learned that lesson. Singapore will be watching this game very closely. Boy, oh boy, the beauty of T20 cricket. Zimbabwe started off well. Nepal crawled themselves back towards the end of the first innings. They started well, did Zimbabwe, in the second innings. Then came the Sandeep Lamichhane factor. And here we are with Zimbabwe fighting back once again. Mind you, in everything that was happening, Avinash Bora with the ball in hand, and we saw what he did just now. And that's what he can do at a ridiculous consistency, is bowling those Yorkers. They call him the Lasith Malinga of Nepal cricket for a reason. Watch out for those Yorkers. A good looking shot. Is that another six? Yes, it is. A slower delivery by Avinash Bora, and Mutambami is hitting it well. A clean strike over long off, and 6 more to the total. Zimbabwe are right back in this, and it's probably safe to say that it's advantage Zimbabwe at the moment.
Taking advantage of those short, straight boundaries. Richmond Mutambami tells you that he's thinking about his innings. And as soon as that ball is pitched up and in his arc, he's not afraid to go over the top. Score moves on to 103 now for 5 Zimbabwe. He moves very quickly on to 30 from 21.
Another firm strike down the ground, just a single this time though. That brings Ryan Burl back on strike, who's happy playing second fiddle. He's happy playing supporting role. And that's good enough because Mutambami is striking it as clean as it comes. 3 sixes in the last 6 deliveries that he's faced. And he's seeing this ball as big as a football. Burl on strike now. Good piece of fielding at the boundary line on the leg side. Just the single, and that brings Mutambami back on strike. 28 required now of 25. It's getting interesting here at the Indian Association in Singapore. You're watching game number 1 of the Singapore Tri-Nation T20Is, brought to you by Instarem. And what a way to start off. Another Yorker by Avinash Bora. Excellent fielding there. Just the single. They won't be complaining, will the Zimbabweans. We come to the end of the 16th over. 4 overs left in the game. 106 for 5. On a Friday evening. Exciting T20 action. It doesn't get more exciting than this. Mutambami is taking on the Nepali bowlers here. Make that 6 number 4 in just 2 overs. And he's turning this game on its head. Oh, he's clearing this boundary with ease, is Mutambami. He's taking advantage of the short, long, straight boundaries. 38 in just 24 deliveries. And the umpires will have to call for a new ball because this ball is out of here.
Good cricket from Richmond Mutambami, realizing that he can take advantage of those straight boundaries. And every time that ball has been pitched up, he's put that away with ease.
Right, just 21 required now. In 23 deliveries, make that 20 of 22, and it certainly is advantage Zimbabwe.
I did mention that if Zimbabwe were going to get across the line, these two batsmen were going to have to score the majority of those runs after they lost those 5 wickets, 4 of them quite early. Richmond Mutumbami just showing his experience, and I did say he'd be happy to play second fiddle to Ryan Bill because he knows that he can accelerate later in his innings. Played a very similar innings in Bangladesh.
And that's the beauty of T20 cricket, isn't it? In just a matter of 2 overs, he's turned the course of this game with 4 lusty hits. Ryan Ball getting into the act this time. 6 runs this time to the left-handed Ryan Ball, and Zimbabwe are looking at finishing this game off in a canter. 5 sixes in a little over 2 overs. Oh, we're seeing some fantastic T20 cricket here. It was the ball that was dominating the first 30-odd overs of this game, but in just the last 3 overs, it's the bat that's doing all the talking.
Yeah, the 7th, 6th in the Zimbabwean innings. Ryan Burl starting to get a move on now. 28 from 30 for him. Supporting Richmond Mutumbami well. This time he goes along the ground and wide of the man at long off. And that's going to be another boundary. So Zimbabwe now chasing down this total with absolute ease.
Fantastic. Playing through the line once again. Punches it through the offside. No chance whatsoever for the long off fielder. 4 more runs. We've already seen 17 runs of this over with 1 delivery to go. Kushal Malla unfortunately has taken 6 runs. Oh my goodness gracious. Zimbabwe are turning it on here. 23 runs of a Kushal Malla over, and they need just 4 to win with 3 overs to spare. Zimbabwe have pretty much sealed game number 1. 17 overs completed, 129 for 5, just 4 required in 3 overs. Right, back with live action here. Just 4 required, 1 hit will do it. Very interesting. Tino, if you had the option, who are you going to go man of the match?
Something that I haven't thought about, to be honest. Wonderfully bowled. Good Yorker. Just what the doctors ordered. In my opinion, it's got to be Richmond Mutumbami, doesn't it? He came in at a time when Zimbabwe were staring down the barrel. And took his time. Got a partnership going with Ryan Burl. And in just the last couple of overs has really exploded. And that's what's also given Ryan Burl the confidence to do the same.
Full toss, low foot toss. Slaps it down the wicket for a single. That leaves us with still 3 to get for Zimbabwe. As we come to the end of match number 1 of the Singapore Tri-Nations T20Is, brought to you by Instagram. We're privileged to be in the company of the Deputy President of the Singapore Cricket Association, Mr. Subir Ghatak, here at the Indian Association. Just 3 required and it's Burl on strike. Make that, confusion in the center. This is good death bowling from Avinash Bora, giving nothing away. They're fighting right up till the very end are the Nepali players. And Avinash Bora, they're as good as they get. There is Yorkers right on the buzzer. Just 3 required from 14 deliveries. Another Yorker.
Well, I hadn't had the pleasure of seeing him play, You mentioned how good he is with those Yorkers, and he's been pretty spot on. This over in particular. Avinash Bora. So just 2 required then for Zimbabwe to get across the line.
You must be a happy man, Tino. You weren't smiling a few minutes ago. But this is a good win for the Zimbabweans should they get these 2 runs. 18 overs completed, 131 for 5. Just 2 required for Zimbabwe to register their first win in this Tri-Nations tournament here in Singapore. And they have 2 overs to do that in.
Two required then for Zimbabwe. And Ryan Bull gets Zimbabwe across the line.
And there you go. We come to the end of match number 1 of the Singapore Tri-Nations T20I here in Singapore. Zimbabwe registering an excellent win at the end with 5 wickets to spare, but that didn't look like is going to be the case at the halfway mark, courtesy an excellent piece of leg spin bowling by Sandeep Lamichhane. But barring the Lamichhane factor, Zimbabwe have been very good in seeing the Nepali bowlers through.
Absolutely. You could see the experience in the 2 Zimbabwean batsmen at the crease at the end. Wonderful knock from Richmond Mutumbami, 40 from 28. Ryan Bull, 41 from 36 to get Zimbabwe across the line at the end with relative ease. 5-wicket win with 11 balls to spare. They'll feel that if they had managed to get another 30 to 40 runs on the board, they would have been pretty comfortable.
Zimbabwe were good with the ball. They certainly were good with the bat as well. They were up to the mark on the field. Deserved winners of match number 1 here in Singapore. And we're going to be back with you very shortly for the post-match presentation. Thank you for following us live through match number 1. For everyone tuning in on VC Cricket, Willow TV, Fan Code and Facebook from the Singapore Cricket Association, a very big thank you for everyone tuning in. Happy looking, smiling Tino right next to me. And Zimbabwe will certainly be happy with the performance here. They did exceptionally well in that last game in Bangladesh to beat Afghanistan, a good looking Afghanistan, and they're following in on that form here in Singapore as well. We're going to be back with you shortly for the post-match presentation. We have back-to-back games lined up. Tomorrow we have the host team, Singapore, going to be taking on Nepal on what promises to be another exciting contest. Very interesting to see who's going to bag the Man of the Match award today. Some exceptional performances, but it probably will have to be this match-winning partnership between Ryan Bull and Richmond Mutumbami. One of them that will go to probably Mutumbami. Only time will tell, and we'll see you right back in a few minutes for the post-match presentation.